God, why are you clearing your throat?
Well, I actually cleared it about a minute ago. That's how bad this Wi-Fi
That's
is.
how delayed you are. There we go.
Holy God.
I could put you in the brig for what you've done, but I won't do it.
Talking Dicks Comedy Podcast. We're a spin-off podcast from the popular web series The Two Dicks. You can see it on YouTube sometimes. And we have 15 episodes that we're proud of, two stinkers. And we're going to be making another great one come May when we go to Vegas. My name is Al Ducharme. My partner is Al Romas. I believe he's in Nassau. And Al, today we have a special guest. And who is that special guest?
Okay, well, the Wi-Fi here is horrible, and I'm flying by the seat of my pants here. I don't know what's happening. I heard guest, and I'm assuming that's my cue to intro our special guest. Is that what's happening here? Okay,
Yes.
Okay,
I'll fix it in
excellent.
post.
We're happy to have him all the way from originally from New York. He lives in LA now. He's a great comedian, voiceover actor, mustache enthusiast. Give him a big round of applause, everybody, for John DiCrosta.
Wow! Wow! I can't hear him clap. I can't even hear him clap.
In post, it will be there. It will be a stadium. I'll steal it from a Who concert or something and slip it in there. Can you hear me okay, you guys?
Hey, guys.
Test 1, 2. Is that better?
That's a lot better.
Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, how are you guys? You're in both, you're in sunny ports right now. I'm home for a change. I did Vegas all last week, and I'm heading to a ship in a day and a half.
Oh, cool. Where were you in Vegas?
Yeah. Brad Garrett's Comedy
right.
Club at the MGM.
Yeah. That's a fine setup they've got there, right?
Well, it's a brand new room. They moved from downstairs to upstairs, so they're on the casino floor now. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar with the MGM, but they have an area called the District with all the restaurants and the shops and stuff. They're there now, so they're getting a lot more foot traffic, which is awesome.
Oh, great. Okay,
yeah.
So they have a little bit more of, they're more visible, which is always a good thing. When
yeah.
And
people that are walking from, let's say, the front door or the casino into the event hall where they had like Bruno Mars, like this last week was Andrea Bocelli. I mean, you got 30,000 people walking past the club that night.
Wow! If you can get like a
and Brad put an awesome lounge in front of the club where you can hang out and listen to some live jazz before and after the show, which is awesome too. So it's more than just a comedy club. I mean, they got that front lounge, which is really cool and comfortable. Yeah.
Great.
Is that one show a night? Are they doing one there?
One show a night, 8 o'clock. Yeah, he's never done two. I think when they came back after pandemic, they were doing less days and they were doubling up on Friday and Saturday, but now they're back to their old schedule. One a night, 8 o'clock. Yeah, we're done by 9:30, 9:15.
I love it. Love one show a night.
Yeah, it's great. Fun.
Yeah, and was Brad there this week?
No, he started the day I left, unfortunately. I adore him and I love working with him.
He doesn't seem to feel the same way.
He hates my new mustache. He calls me Angry Geppetto.
What is the backstory? I don't, I will get into it obviously, but you just appeared suddenly with this crazy 1800s. You look like you're gonna, fight someone in the street.
He's got the bicycle handles on his mustache. It's waxed. Yes,
that's a lot of Dapper Dan. A lot of Dapper Dan.
What happened was, like a lot of us here in LA, especially, everything shut down. So not only could I not make money in clubs and at sea, but I moved here for animation voiceover and commercial work and stuff like that. And that all closed for almost 2 years. And so I grew I just stopped shaving and just grew the regular growth. And then what happened was I was trimming it one night and I had some CBD gummies to help me sleep. And I went, I cut off a limb over here on this side of the chin. I'm like, shit, now I got to even it out. So I evened it out over here. Now they're separate entities. And it started growing long enough to where I was chewing on the corners, which is obviously gross. So I bought some wax and I started getting it out of my face. And then when everything came back, we get casting notices in our email, like almost every day. Hey, you might be good for this role. You might be great for this role. And one of them was an independent film. It's a Western. It's like in the late 1880s. And they needed somebody to deliver 7 to 10 comedic lines. And I play the owner of a brothel, a whorehouse owner. I know, typecasting.
That's perfect.
So, and they wanted a recent picture. So I snapped a photo and I said, I can shave all this. And they said, no, we're going to put your scene off like 3 weeks. And we want it longer.
Wow.
So, a month went by and then I shot my scene. It was 2 days on set. And then I couldn't shave it for half a year. Then the clubs came back and the ships came back. And I couldn't touch it in case they needed to, editing, and they had to reshoot. So, and then everybody kind of fell in love with it. I'm like, whatever.
And this movie was called, was this Rust?
No.
Cry Macho?
No? Okay. But maybe had a little insight here into what happened.
I know you're putting wax on your face, son. I don't know if I like it or if I hate it, but you keep going.
And it's a pain in the ass, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like if I'm doing a show,
sure.
It's about 15 minutes. If I'm just running outside, it's about 5 to 10. One day I was so ready to just take a straight razor and lop it off. And I go to this place over by my house in the valley, and I get out of my car to put in some change in the meter. There is this dude sitting on the stoop right by my car. Cat scratch fever era Ted Nugent, soul patch, hair down to his ass. And I'm like, he's going to give me shit and he's going to ruin my day. And he stared at me and didn't say a word. I walked to this restaurant that I like. This couple that clearly were out of the top of a fitness wedding cake. She was gorgeous and he was amazing. She turns to him and says, she says, I'll meet you at the car. And the guy was confused. He's like, what the hell? She goes, I will meet you at the car. The guy walks around the corner. She makes a beeline Terminator style towards me. She grabs my left arm and it hurt. They clearly were fitness instructors. She goes, this? Love it. And I'm like, okay. She goes, listen to me. I'm like, don't hurt me. She goes, love it. She says, there's nothing sexier than a well-groomed man. I said, well, thank you. She goes, don't ever get rid of it. I'm like, I promise. Check back with me. She leaves. I walk into the restaurant. There's another girl eating her acai bowl. She goes, she's right. And I'm like, that's very sweet. She goes, it looks great. I get my acai bowl. I walk outside. I go to my car. Ted Nugent goes, he goes, bro. And I'm like, oh, shit. He's going to erase everything they just said. He goes, bitchin' stash, bro. And I'm like, it stays.
All right.
It stays. Yeah. And now I got my opening 9 minutes is on my face.
Well, I was going to say you address
I have
it,
to.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
Address
You'll
it.
be opened up for some weird heckle or some shit.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you get to say you actually get to say it and mean it that you grew it for a movie, right? That's
yeah. Exactly. And literally it's the opening 9 minutes of my club set, and then on the ship we do like
That seems like a
rated
lot.
R. Yeah.
9 minutes on the mustache?
4.5
Dude,
minutes on each side of the
I don't know. It
mustache.
seems like
me,
overkill.
with all my voices, I get into
that's
I
true.
I get into the Rip Taylor and the guy at the door in the Wizard of Oz and the
That's
Mourner.
Rip Taylor. That's right. I didn't.
Rip Taylor.
I didn't even pick up on that. That should be the first thing.
You run through the showroom with confetti.
You throw it. That's fantastic.
He wasn't gay.
Yes. And
No, he was just happy to see you.
He was just a happy
Just
guy
a
all the
happy
time,
guy.
constantly.
Of course,
Perpetual
of
happiness.
course.
Yeah.
Wow, that's funny, man. I did think about old Rip Taylor. That is maybe the last guy. Is that the last celebrity type guy we can think of with that stash?
I think Kenneth Branagh is bringing it back in the Death On series.
Yeah, I see
Death
that.
on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh,
and his is actually double winged. But in this latest movie, I won't ruin anything, but you find out why he grew it. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but
no, I have not. Yeah, I just remember as a kid, the only time really being aware of that was Raleigh Fingers.
Oh, sure,
Raleigh Fingers.
The
relief pitcher for the Oakland A's. He had whack, and he would play with it on the mound. And
somebody in our little circle of our football Twitter group or something sent me a message. There was a football player as well that had one. I think he was a Pittsburgh Steeler, if I'm not mistaken, but he was known for it as well. But
I guess if you grow that in your work, you're going to be known for it. You know what I mean? There aren't many guys doing it. Like you're now known for that. Or when you think of you go, the mustache.
But it's the same principle. If you're on a mound, pitching, there's going to be close-ups of you, and people are going to focus in and talk about it. You're on stage, you address it right out of the gate. It becomes a part of you, and then the audience gets used to it, and then that's your. Well,
it's a way to and distinguish yourself, because usually especially on a carnival ship, there's other comedians. So people are talking about you. It's just check out the mustache. I mean, that's
huge. I mean, even before masks, during the day, I'll have a hat and sunglasses on. 1 million people can walk past me, and there's an occasion. Oh my God, you were the guy last night. But now with this, it's like Carrot Top walking through Ralph's. There's just no way you can do it. So I mean, I'm sitting there, and it's so like, oh my God, you're the guy. You're the guy. Yes, I'm the guy.
Now, how many more months before you shave it off? You can shave it off. You feel safe shaving.
Oh,
it
I'm clear now. Okay,
so you're just enjoying it now.
Now I'm just digging it, man.
Okay, cool.
And I mean, if you go to my Instagram, Johnny D163, Brad bust my balls. Every single photo I post that has my face in it, he makes a comment. My favorite is I just posted one with like a newsboy cap and black shirt next to a Coca-Cola machine. He called me Angry Geppetto. And then another one was he said, he goes, I know your dream job is to work at the ice cream shop on Main Street in Disneyland, but the job has been filled.
That's great. You might,
John, how
probably
long?
Getting some traction with that if he's commenting. I'm hoping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Adam. What was it?
Am I back in the pod now?
You're back in the pod?
Yeah.
I was frozen and back. Hey, John, how long have you been in LA? I was trying to think about that. When did you move?
22 years.
New York.
Summer 2000. So it's 22 years now. I can't believe it's been that long. And I've done a lot of cool shit. I mean, some days when you look back at, you're not maybe where you want to be, but you look back and go, you know what? I've accomplished a lot of cool stuff. I've packed a lot in my 22 years. Just when you think you're like, what, man, come on, let's get this rolling. You look back and I've worked with a lot of cool people. Yeah.
Now, where are you originally from, though? Where did you originally?
Upstate New York, Schenectady, New York.
Right, and then did you migrate to the city, or did you go
No,
out to LA?
never. I was not a fan of the city. Whenever I had to do sets in the city, I would take a train because parking was always scary, number one, and just a pain in the ass. So I would take a train, and it was just an ordeal. And then I met Al on the road. I mean, we'd work the road at least 4 or 5 times a year together. Yeah.
I thought you were. I thought you were from a Long. I thought you were a Long Island guy originally because you were on the island a bit.
No. Yeah, I was always did Governors in Levittown. I did that quite a bit. So I moved here to make a full-time living at animation voiceover. And I did that for the first, it was about 6 months in, and I wasn't making a living. As you guys know, I mean, it's just, the grind is just so hard. So a buddy of mine, Billy Martin, was Bill Maher's head writer. And he said, "Hey, man, how you making out?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing okay, but I'm not making a killing." And he said, "Bill's looking to change up the audience warm-up guy. Are you interested?" And I didn't even know what that was. And I'm like, if it keeps me off the road, I'm in. Yeah. And dude, I did that non-stop with animation voiceover and audience warm-up for 10 years until Carnival fell in my lap.
Holy shit.
Oh, I did America's Got Talent, American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, America's Funniest Home Videos, Late Late Show with Craig Kilborn, Bill Maher.
Were you doing material on that kind of thing? Were you doing more of the audience crowd work?
Every show is different. Bill Maher, the first show I did, he wanted the 10, 15 minutes up front. And then during the commercial breaks, he wanted material only because he didn't want to encourage the crowd to chat with me during commercial breaks because it would be hard to stop them. But most shows don't want you to dip into your material. They just want you to, it's cruise director crap. Right. It's where you from? What do you do? Here's a piece of candy. You know, where are you from? What do you do? Who wants a t-shirt? Now it's time to sing YMCA. It's very cruise directory.
But it keeps you in town so that you're able to have those other opportunities.
Yeah.
With voiceover,
I did it literally 10 years nonstop. Like I got burnt out. And that's
we actually
that's
lost
when
Al.
I started.
We lost Al, but that's okay. This podcast can survive without the other Dick. He's going to be so pissy. He's such a curmudgeon. Dude. He's going to be so upset that he's not on his own podcast. Well, I guess you replaced him. Are you available this time every week?
Yes. If it'll keep me home, I'll do it.
We could throw you a couple of bucks. You know, we'll see what happens. Let me see if I can get him back on. And I am so sorry, but this is the technology.
Don't worry about it. Where am I going?
But I can make it all look decent in post. I have to spend an extra 2 hours. Al's back. Al, we lost you there. It was very sad. We got over it, and we celebrated your life. And then
I poured a little coffee out for the brothers who weren't here.
So you say iPad is the way to go?
Well, I mean, it depends. I don't know what it entails to put one of these things together. So I don't really know. But as far as I'm concerned, everybody's like, you could just do it on your laptop. I'm like, I haven't carried a laptop in 8, 9. Well, how do you can do it on an iPad. Yeah, but how do you exactly? You can do it on an iPad. I mean, you can do almost anything on an iPad. I mean, word processing is a little pain in the ass. I like that keyboard.
Sure. But you can get a keyboard for it.
Yeah, you can. You can get an exterior keyboard. So, man, it's just so much lighter, so much more travelable.
We lost
track. Did you lose him again?
He was there. He came on. He was frozen, and then we lost him again. It's Nassau is just horrible, and whatever ship he's on the anthem. It could be his cabin too. Sometimes I have to do this from different parts of the ship, and then a drill comes on, or they start piping in music. I find a nice little cubby hole somewhere. I'm like, oh, this is quiet. passengers are on shore.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they just like start blasting that loop music. You're like, come on.
Yeah.
But all right, well, we can deal with it and we can splice him in later. So tell me about your migration. You went west. You've been out there for 22 years. You start doing the animation because that's my thing too, voiceover. But my agents are always pissed at me and they end up dropping me because I'm always away. It's a balance.
It's funny. I've heard that story a million times, and a million times I personally know about 20 people that my agency has dropped because one reason or another. I've been with the same agency forever, and it's one of those things that I think they're confident that someday soon, hopefully, we're going to strike gold. And I audition like crazy when I'm on the road.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because I'm not with my agent anymore. I'm not getting anything. But people are saying, no, you can do it. You can do it all from your computer or your iPad. All these auditions,
You can.
And get bookings. In some cases, record, depending on what it is.
Recording's a different story, especially if you're on a ship.
Right.
It's almost an impossibility.
Oh, it is.
I mean,
okay, yeah, because of this ship?
And in fact, like now you need a Source Connect at home to record. It's very similar to an ISDN. Is he here again?
Al is back. Al, do you have a question for our guests? He took over for you.
We got to wrap.
Is this
it up
microphone
signal.
talk? Is this fucking microphone talk?
Why don't you ask him a quick question and then try to reconnect in 20 minutes?
Any cat owners?
Yeah. Hey, when did you start on Carnival? And that's your only cruise line you're doing currently, or have you done others? What do you prefer?
Never been on another line ever. I started the month they started this new punchliner, which was the fall of 2010. So I started 2010. It literally was October, and it started within 2 or 3 weeks of when I started. And I've been offered other lines, and I've turned it down several times. I know where I got to be. I know how many. I have 5 different 30-minute shows. I know I do show 1, show 2, show 3, show 4, show 5.
Wow. Sometimes
if they add a 6 or 7, I can squeak out another full 30. I don't like downtime. I like working. Unfortunately, our new schedule, instead of flying in halfway in the middle of a cruise and flying out halfway another cruise, we are staying on for the whole cruise beginning to end. So 2 guys are twiddling their thumbs at the beginning and 2 guys are twiddling their thumbs at the end.
Because of COVID,
okay.
Obviously.
And I hate the I really don't like downtime. I always find stuff to do, but I'd rather be working. And that's another complaint I have about the other lines. I mean, you do 2 or 3 shows in a week and a half.
I got on this ship Sunday. Today we're recording on Thursday. I have not worked yet.
That's insane to me.
I don't work till Saturday.
But then you do
Saturday night.
But then they have the comedy club.
I'm on for a week. I'm on the cruise for a week.
But the comedy club ones, you're doing 14 to 17 shows, so it's like overkill.
You make up for that. Yeah. That's the difference. But a lot. I'm agreeing with John there. I think the week goes faster on those other ships when I do a comedy club ship and work every night. The time goes faster than not working. And I mean, I don't have 5 shows though. That's pretty. That's impressive, man. Yeah.
I have 5 different 30. I have 3 different rated R and 2 different PGs, and they're pretty solid. And what I've heard from the other lines, like I have a couple of friends on Princess right now, you've got to have 45G rated. And I'm like, in this day and age,
Yeah.
you're forcing me to do G-rated material for adults. I think that's insane.
No, the adults
It's
don't want to
just-
hear that. They think
No!
that's for the kids.
No, I agree.
I've had people say you're too clean sometimes. We wanted you
that
to
was me.
spice
That
it
was
up.
me.
And I go, well, come to my
I said
adult
that.
show. You know, but
Even after your adult show, I said too clean. Spice it up, Ducharme.
spicing it up.
I did Holland America,
Stop bragging.
and you do 3 different 30-minute shows, and they say adult, but they mean PG-13ish. But I've noticed if you do push it in a little bit, they loved it. They wanted to hear it. So, you know, that they'll tell you things, but I mean that G-rated 45 or something, that
Disney.
seems ridiculous at this point.
Disney
I mean,
behavior.
what's the
rules?
Yeah, and what are the biggest attended shows when we like on Royal and other ones? It's always the adult show.
I
People
know.
want
Well,
they want adult comedy.
Mhm.
They don't want to hear G-rated.
on Carnival, a lot of guys don't take the time to school them, but I say to them, look, if you're not doing anything, tomorrow I have a PG show. It's not for kids. I don't make balloon animals. I used to, but I don't make the balloon animals anymore.
That was show number 6.
But they all think, oh, that's the kids show. It's not a kids show. It's TV clean. That's what they should call it, TV clean. Because a lot of people they prefer that style of comedy, and my PGs pack.
Oh, that's great. Man. Again,
Hate the way they stay away because they think it's kiddie. It's a kiddie show. Look at that. You better screen capture that. I'm going to screen capture that because it's rarely that he smiles.
He
like
smiles.
that.
Yeah, you should try to grab that right now. I can get it.
That's
in post. It's already being recorded on my computer. So maybe we'll just keep them like that. Let's just keep going.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
I mean that's the way we like them, right? We don't like grouchy Al.
No, well, it's a good balance. Oh, he's gone.
It's fun.
He's trying to get back in. Anyways, I've been doing some voiceover work. I did 3 seasons on F is for Family, which is an adult.
I know. I'm so jealous. It's what?
So, but I wasn't in the auditioning game for that. I was not I was out on the road.
How did that even happen? I've been wanting to ask you about that.
Well, I know Bill from Boston. When he started out, he used to open up for me, and we'd go on the road and do those New England gigs, ski resorts and whatnot. And I bumped into him at a fundraiser for someone who passed away, and he said, "Dude, we just got the green light for another season, and we're running out of voices. And I had you in the back of my head. Could you send me a bunch of clips so I can give them to the showrunner and blah blah blah." So one thing led to another. He goes, "Okay, can you come in for a table read?" I go, "Okay." So I'm thinking we're going to read. It's a cartoon. I'm going to read for 10 people or whatever. They had a convention room at a hotel. Like Netflix, and then the animated company and all the writers and everybody. It was like a big deal. And they put me right next to the executive producers. Vince Vaughn is an executive producer.
Yeah.
And that got to my line, which is actually a little kid voice I do for my act, and they all start laughing, and they all start. So, boom! At the end of it, showrunner comes up to me, and says, "Al, welcome to the family," and then that was it.
Yeah.
Back to your thing about recording during the pandemic. I was recording in my closet for a few episodes, and then
did you come out?
I came out of the closet. I bumped into Jim David. He was there. We had a great time.
For the past.
He had my back.
And
then they opened up the studios, but nobody was in the studio. Everybody was on screen doing Zoom just like this. But it worked out.
Which I hate. I hate.
Not my favorite.
No, I know you were one of the first guys. You and your wife did a couple of those backyard shows. I would rather have 10 people in my backyard than 20 people I can't hear on Zoom.
I'll tell you what,
I agree.
The backyard shows were wonderful, actually. They were so pumped. The audience was so giving. It was a great release.
People still right now are reacting like, "Oh my God, did we miss this?"
Mhm.
and it's been back for half a year. So yeah, there's nothing like seeing any performer live as opposed to not.
I will say
It's
that
night and day, man.
I did a couple of those parking lots where people were in their cars hitting their horns.
I did that too. I
never
did that
did that.
too. I
skipped
did
that.
one for Randy
Randy
out,
Lubis. Yeah.
yeah, out west, and they handed out cowbells as you come as you come into the lot. So you could either
No.
flash your high beams,
Bing, ding, bing, ding,
you
ding.
could beep your horn, or use the cowbell. And I'm like, I don't know
Ugh.
which one I hate worse.
I did the same one. Yeah, I did that same one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was a step forward going into, being
Oh,
live
absolutely.
from Zoom. Zoom shows were awful.
Absolutely,
And then,
absolutely.
but then we did a few where people sat outside their cars, and they were close to the stage, so that was pretty good actually. But
Oh, okay.
nothing like a comedy club, though. Nothing like a comedy.
No, I was in
man,
I was in
nothing.
Florida where we don't
There's no
acknowledge
pandemic.
COVID. We don't acknowledge it. So we were always open. Pretty much
Never
we
happened.
just stayed open.
He started doing geek. I think
Yeah.
you were doing comedy clubs. What, month 2? Full House.
I think I did
No
a
Masks.
I think I was at Visani's, and that might have been like May or something. Yeah, I mean, but it was a little weird because they kept people separated. Everyone had that look around, going like, should we be doing this? Is this safe? Is this okay? Is anyone okay this? Because it feels wrong. But seemed to go okay. And then he was like, "Fuck it, I'm just opening. I'm doing full. I don't care." And it worked out. But it's funny how where he is in Florida, McCurdy's, who John works a lot, they're only less than an hour north, and he stayed closed for well over probably a year.
Yeah.
And
then they opened up, and nobody showed because they were all afraid. It's kind of an older crowd, retired community. And then he waited that out for, I don't know how long, but it was a long period of time. Then he reopened slowly with less seats, and they were spaced out. And now I think he's full crowd. I'm there in a couple weeks. I'm there March like 9 through 12 or something like that, 8 through 12. Yeah, it's weird. Isn't it weird how, and I know Stress Factory in New Brunswick, I mean, they went to the parking lot just packed. There's a lot of clubs that were like, shit, we got to adjust, and we got to adjust now.
Put
and they
the tent
made it
up,
work.
get the heat lamps going.
Yes.
It's all happening. We lost Al again, but I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the one-on-one.
He's probably starting to get a complex.
Look who's back.
This is a freaking podcasting nightmare. Holy
I think
God.
it's fine. How about you, John?
Ah,
I'm pretty
I'm
smoothly
sure
for
you
us.
do, you son of a bitch. Yeah.
The talking dick.
God damn. What was that?
Maybe you should move to Lido.
I should move somewhere, believe me. Have you thought about that, John? Moving? Like, you love LA. Have you thought about Vegas? Seems like everyone's going to Vegas or Florida, or make it easier on the ships,
LA.
Or you just love it
there?
there?
I love LA. Just like people love Manhattan or Boston or Chicago. I love LA. I would love to stay here for the rest of my life. Financially, that's probably not going to be possible, but I love it here. I love the lifestyle. I'm at the water any chance I get on my skateboard or surfing or boogie boarding.
You're a surfer and a skateboarder, right? Like,
yeah,
serious stuff.
Yeah, I love it all, and I just love the whole. I grew up. I mean, I started in this business when I was 12, and I started getting paid when I was 13, 14 years old. I was doing private parties and stuff. And I fell in love with the whole studio system where the actors were under contract here and there. And the glamour of the whole studio system. And just like when I first came here, along with doing audience warm-up and animation voiceover, I was doing a lot of extra work too for central casting. And I remember a couple of guys that were instrumental to me getting to LA my cousin and his partner. And I remember his partner called me one day, and I was sitting on the set of ER, and he's like, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "Well, I'm in holding right now in an abandoned church set, waiting to be called to for the next scene." He's like, "Do you want to do this forever?" I'm like, "No, but I'd rather be here learning about the craft and on this set than nothing against it, but flipping burgers or selling tires at Sears." I just love the whole process of this town.
I've done some extra work myself just to get my
Yeah.
health insurance. I'd call up a buddy
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, do you get anything?" They go, "Yeah, come on, we'll put you on." And same thing was a
Yeah.
waiting game, but I was making calls, booking comedy gigs, and getting my credits for my health insurance. But it's
Yeah.
nothing, and getting a paycheck. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you bust your ass and work at least, let's say, 5 days in a week, I mean, you can make some decent scratch doing extra work, especially if they go into overtime and that golden hour and the triple time. And if you throw in your car, I was always offering my car when they had street scenes. Cause when I first moved here, cause it was like an extra $40. In fact, the biggest no-no, I think I was here for maybe 2 years. The biggest no-no you could ever do on a set like that, especially when you're an extra, is to yell cut on a working on a working set. I was on a show with Paul Sorvino. I forget the story, or I forget the show, but Paul Sorvino was the lead, and Kevin Dillon was the son. He played the son, and he was a cop. And it took place in New Jersey. And I remember, 6 months before I moved to LA, my car was nearly totaled. My brand new car that I bought to drive to California was T-boned in the parking lot of a comedy club. So I had $9,000 worth of work before I drove my car out here, right? So I was always offering my car to put for street scenes to make that extra $40, right?
Sure.
So we're on Melrose. They're recreating like storefront row type of thing, and there's two neighboring store owners. Your trash cans are too far over on my side of the sidewalk. No, I always put them here. No, you don't. And Kevin Dillon pulls into the parking lot with his cop car and breaks up the fight. So my car's sitting right there, right next to the three actors. And Kevin Dillon pulls in and he breaks up they go through rehearsal. They break up the fight. And he's like, "I told you a million times, you guys got to get along," and blah, blah, blah. It's that kind of deal. Okay, let's do it for real, people. They start fighting. Kevin Dillon pulls in his cop car. He grabs one of the guys and throws him on the hood of my car that I just spent $9,000 fixing. In the back of the crowd, I yell, "Cut!"
But you had a reason. You had a reason.
The director's on one of those big crane directing little dollies,
Right.
She turns and goes, "Who the fuck yelled cut on my set?" It's like, that would be me, ma'am, and that's my car. She's like, "Can I get a car in here that I could use?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought
You could have got,
sure
yeah, they could have given you in the boot right there, yeah."
And I was in 2 scenes after that.
Fair enough.
I thought for sure I was done. I was dead. I was box office poison after that. And that wasn't a first. I remember on the set of ER once, we were in like the 15th hour. People just wanted to go home. And, when you watch as an extra, when you watch your scene, you're like, "Well, there's going to be a guy that walks past the window with a box. That's me." So there's a lot of that when you sit around with your family and friends and watch your shows, right? So I held the menu upside down. it was just something stupid.
Mhm.
And I wanted to, hey, see how I held the menu upside down? So I'm in a scene and you can see me right between George Clooney and Eric LaSalle in a diner. And we're on like our 15, 16 hour people just want to shoot each other, right? And I have it upside down and somebody yells cut. I'm like, who's the asshole? And the AD comes over, puts his elbow so forcefully on my shoulder that I almost had a tear in my eye. He goes, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm pretending I'm ordering a sandwich. He goes, yeah, with the menu fucking upside down. I'm like,
wow.
Who watches this shit?
Wow. Yeah.
The details. Yeah.
Someone's gonna, it's gonna be taken out of that real ER scene by the upside down menu. Yeah. I can't follow this now.
Yeah.
I'm derailed, man. I'm derailed. Now, can I ask you a question? You recently posted a photograph of yourself taking a bubble bath and your little signature rubber duckies, which I thought was Lucky Charms for a second.
I thought it was the whole thing was disturbing.
Did you yell cut when you saw the photo?
But full on commitment. How did the rubber duck become one of your?
All right, this is how it happened.
Brandings there.
I was on a ship in October, the same ship I'm going to next week. I was on for the month of October. In the first week, this lady comes up to me and she says, I have a duck that looks like you. I said, you do? And she says, yes. And tomorrow night, I'm going to give them to you. And I'm like, lady, I can't take care of a duck on a ship. She goes, no. I'm bringing them to you tomorrow and I'm giving them to you. So the next night, she comes, and I don't know if you can see this.
I can.
You can.
He's got the same cap.
Yeah, he's got the same cap and the the handlebar mustache, right? And I'm like, holy shit, it does look like me. So she gives me the duck, and I go, what the hell is this? She goes, you've never heard of the ducks? And I'm like, no. I've done 500 cruises. I've never seen a duck. Oh yeah, people hide them, and there's a couple of online Facebook groups. And you either you take a picture with it, and you can either re-hide it for somebody else, or you can keep it. And I'm like, you're crazy. Next night, I'm in the elevator. There's a freaking duck in the corner. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Now I can't stop. I can't walk down a hallway and not look in little nooks and crannies without. I'm constantly scouring for ducks.
It's like the gnome thing that people put the gnomes all over the place and
pictures
and travel with and take a photo.
And that bathtub shot I had envisioned in my head. I'm like, I'm in Vegas. I know I'm going to get that tub. And so I brought every duck I've found since October, and I just dumped them in. And those are all the ones I've found up to this point. It's probably close to 100.
Was that the maid? Did you use the maid as the photographer, or who took that picture?
I use the same tripod I have on my desk right now for this podcast.
All right. I don't know. I thought I saw a thumb in front of the lens. Now, what is the deal?
That was actually Brad Garrett.
So you're out in LA. Are you have a family? What's the scoop with you have kids? And
I do. 2 grown boys. They're like
great.
30
adults.
Oh my God. 31 and 28, and a wife of 33 almost years.
Wow. That's fantastic. And
Damn.
Yeah.
So you guys raised 2 boys in LA. That's a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, when we moved here, they were 9 and 6, and now it's just, I mean, they're grown men. It's weird. They've had more of their life here than in New York. I mean, they remember it pretty well. Like, I was born and raised in Italy, and when I came to the States, I was 9, so I was my oldest son. I was my oldest son's age when I moved to the U.S., and I remember Italy like it was yesterday.
But no accent.
How come you don't have the accent? A lot of these guys. You ever see these guys? They move. They're They're from Italy. They left when they were like 2, and somehow they still have a fucking accent.
It depends on where you go.
Well, because they spoke it in the house. We spoke English in the house. My kindergarten and first grade were all Italian. My second grade was 50-50. Third grade was all English, and we spoke English in the house. My dad was in the Air Force. He's from there. He's from Italy. He came when he was, I believe, close to 17. He came to the States. And when he went into the Air Force, because he was fluent in Italian, they shipped him back over there. And that's why I was born there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then was he stationed in New York, or how did you end up upstate New York?
Well, our
base
first
up
home
there
in the
or
States,
anything? Or?
Yeah, our first home in the United States was in Syracuse. There was a base there. It's now
a mall.
It's now city housing now, I think. Last time I was there, the homes were still there, and they were all overgrown with grass. I mean, there was weeds and grass in my living room that I grew up in. It was kind of sad, but I think that's all leveled, and they've put up low-income housing, I believe. But there are little parts of the base that are still manned. There's a satellite building there, like a recon type thing, where they have satellite and all that kind of drone kind of bullshit. I think that's still operating. But the whole, man, I had some great times on that bay. That's where I started my whole love of skateboarding and man, just remember, we all remember those days. You didn't come till the street lights were on.
Oh, that was great, wasn't it?
Now you can't get a kid off the couch without their fucking phones. Right?
It's true. And we lost Al again. It's awesome.
Oh, man.
We're getting all your stories, though. This is great. Oh, look at that.
So years from now, we're going to say, Al, remember that podcast we did with DiCrosta? And he's like, nope.
And my wife is trying to call me. And when I said, I'm going to be podcasting at this hour, don't forget to do the math with the time change. And let me just send her a quick message. Do you mind? I'm so sorry. This is turning out.
Are you in LA now? But I mean, you live here still, right?
I do. Yeah. Studio City.
Yeah.
And we moved there a decade ago, believe it or not. Bernadette had a TV show, 1.5 seasons. It got canceled and we stayed. I was ready to go back.
Back where?
I was going to go back to the East Coast. We were living in New York. We met in New York. She's from Boston. I'm from Rhode Island, but we met at the Comic Strip Live in New York City. And then 9/11 came about. We were a 9/11 hookup. The buildings were falling. World was ending. So we said, you want to have sex? It was more like, you want to fuck? But and then we ended up together ever since. And we said, let's get married.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And no kids. So we've got a little extra cash.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you have a lot of extra cash.
We still don't have the extra cash. We're okay, but where's all this extra money? I thought we were supposed to save hundreds of thousands of dollars not having kids.
Isn't that tough? It's hard to save here. Like just when I think my bank account, I'm like, okay, that's an adult respectable amount. Then it's gone the next month. It's
like, and the consistency of work too, up and down, up and down. Like you say, you get something good. You get like doing those voiceovers, going into the studio, feeling like a real person in the industry. And they do 10 episodes, and you're in 8. So it's like you're just not. Yeah. It's not like Simpsons doing 26 or 30 episodes a season. That's the difference.
For 30 years. For 30. That's
well, they're getting sitcom money. But
yeah, no, they are, and they've held out, I think, 3 or 4 times for that kind of money.
Well, the show generates billions of dollars in revenue, so why not give?
Have you watched it? Are you a fan?
I've watched many episodes of it. I'm not consistent. And Michael Price, our showrunner, is actually he's one of the writer producers.
Okay,
but go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
I just haven't enjoyed it for a decade, man. I just I mean, look. I still watch it, but I don't outwardly laugh like I used to.
Oh,
I don't know. Oh my God. Maybe I'm just getting old and crotchety, but I'm just not laughing at it anymore.
Well, it's the same thing with Saturday Night Live. You have your good seasons.
Oh my God. Don't get me started.
And then you have, 3 years in a row of.
Yeah.
And then the election year sometimes saves a season.
Right.
That's all that. Here he is again. Here he is. Admit what happens when he comes on. Well, that's our podcast for today. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Dick?
I am.
Glad you joined
This
That's all
nice
right.
to
John
be
was,
here. 19.
John,
I feel like I'm in 1974. Holy
now.
shit!
was
Wait,
talking.
what? Where are you drawing your Wi-Fi?
he's in
That's
Kiev
why
right
is it
now.
so shitty there?
He's in Kiev, and there's some explosions going on outside.
He's in the Ukraine, possibly.
That's where
and
he
there's
is. The
some
Russians are
missiles
at his
coming.
door. There's some all-terrain vehicles that are green with red stars on them and a sickle. But he just came on and he's frozen again. It's hysterical.
He's gone already.
He's gone
Oh
already.
no! Oh,
That's all right.
Are
Well,
we even?
I'm gonna edit and probably zoom in on you anyway. So, but it is funny to see him frozen like that.
I would leave that in. I would
think you're
just
right.
Leave that.
It's a
Yeah.
comedy podcast. We leave our
I
mistakes
especially like that smiley face that he had there for about
the previous one.
3 minutes.
So tell me about auditioning on a cruise ship, or when you're on the road at a comedy club and you have auditions for either voiceover or on camera. How does that work?
Yeah. Well, on camera, I don't do much.
Mm-hmm.
Since pandemic, I haven't done much of that, but I have to. But everything I do is with my iPad Mini, and I put a towel on my desk, and I make a little horseshoe with my pillows, drape a towel over top of those pillows, create a little sound pocket, and hopefully the auditions don't go voiceover wise. They don't go past like a minute or two, because then the files get a little big and you can't email them. And then I just save it as an MP3 and I email it to my agent and off to the casting director. You know.
And you get to direct yourself though while you're
recording. I've been doing it more than 25 years now, to where I don't want to say I don't need direction, but I can get through an audition by myself pretty easily. I can look at the page and say, I mean, they know enough to give me everything they have as far as the description of the character. Pictures always help, especially when you're doing animation.
Right.
Is it a fat character or a thin character, a goofy character, a regular character? When the picture doesn't accompany the sides, then you got a little more work to do developing a character. But and then I lay down the tracks and email it off. And as we're experiencing today, sometimes the Wi-Fi signal isn't. It's been better the last 5-6 years. I remember when I first started. Oh my God, it was a major pain in the ass getting out a sound file. Any MP3.
The bandwidth was horrendous.
Oh my God! But now I haven't had any problems the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Back to the.
And that's had a problem the last 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This is
I was back.
Every time I'm trying to just stay quiet, it seems like if I talk,
when you talk, it's better.
I'll just sit back and watch.
I think it's best that you sit back and watch this time.
I'm sure you do.
It's so enjoyable.
Hey, John, did we ask already while I was frozen? Did we ask John where he? I love to ask where you started. What was your first club, open mic night, or what? How did you begin this career of yours?
I started when I was technically 11 years old. I was a ventriloquist. I entered a talent show and I won the talent show. I was 11. I was in 7th grade. And about a year after that talent show, I started doing children's shows like birthday parties, Boy Scout banquets, that kind of thing. So I only did ventriloquism from when I was like 12 to 18. And then we all know in the early 80s, the comedy boom just exploded. And my first full-time room that gave me, it was 2 simultaneously, Comedy Works in Albany and Wise Guys in Syracuse. Those were like my first 2 full-time weeks of work in 86.
Wow.
Done since 1986. You know, so between like 80 and 86, I did a combination ventriloquism and stand-up act, a lot of props. Al, you remember me back in those days. And then 86, when I went on the road, I dropped the vent completely because I was verbally bashed by every stand-up comic that only used a mic stand.
Sorry about that.
And I left all that home and just started the road. Yeah. And then one thing, it just snowballed. I mean, the mid 80s was just sick.
And then there was a resurgence.
Yeah, I try to tell people
again.
that.
Well, the early 90s, there was actually a comedy boom. Yeah, exactly. The mid to late is when it just kind of skyrocketed again. But the early 90s, we had a little speed bump where clubs were closing. They were cutting back shows. I Can Only Pay You Summer money, where I actually only gave them a summer show.
Right.
Yeah. That was my response to that. It's summer money. Okay, then I'm going to give you my summer jokes.
Right. Yeah, I missed the boom. I didn't start it in the mid 80s thing, you'd hear about it from everybody, but then I started it was kind of that dip in the early 90s. And then it got good again, mid 90s.
Yeah, it took off
to late 90s. And now it's a whole different thing. Comedy's hot right now. It's just a different, it's different than when we did it, obviously. You have a following through a podcast or a whatever, you're going to clean up out there. And if you don't, you're going to struggle. There isn't a lot of spots for a guy who's just this funny dude, funny white guy,
No, there's not. And the only clubs.
Oh, there we go. I'm back.
He's back. He's back in the saddle again.
This is, really.
I know we're gonna get to the end here.
There's a lot to deal with this first.
I just 7 hours.
I don't even. Yeah, just edit me out. I think it'd be easier. Holy God!
How often do you guys like to record an episode? Once
we were
a week?
doing 2 a week for a while there, and we're down to 1, and we play an older one as a classic episode, which is great because now we have 177 of these now, so it allows us to.
I listened, by the way.
We knew we were going to
I have about 7 or 8 podcasts that I download on my iPhone, and it's my radio in my cabin when I'm showering and getting ready for shows. And you guys are guys are one of them. I mean it's on my phone right now.
Oh,
so I'm always listening. It's fun.
We try to get
to be the pod for when guys shower.
I want to know how. How did that start?
Mary.
In the credits, it's the final credits, or is it the opening credits? That's at the end? Romas, I think.
It's Jimmy Carroll and the 3 of us, right? The 3 of us. Jimmy Carroll was on an episode.
Pat, actually, it started with Pat Godwin and I when we took a radio DJ to radio. I took Pat to radio, and a DJ was drunk, and he went, Mary, here's the system. And we would do that all the time. Mary, And Jimmy Carroll heard it, and he ran with it. He fucking loved that story, and I think Jimmy tells it like he was the guy there. He just fucking loves that story. And then Al heard it, and then Al
it was Ted Baxter.
It was Ted Baxter, so he's doing the Ted Baxter version.
Oh, Mary Lou.
How you doing,
oh, no, that's not it. And then they told me the backstory. How it was this guy used to drink whiskey out of a coffee cup, and he'd ask Mary to get him some coffee.
Mary, special coffee, some special coffee, Mary, and it was a cup of booze with a little coffee in it, and I just thought that was the funniest thing, and then and then it became a thing, and we put it at the end of the show, and there you go. It's
funny.
Thank you for listening to the very end, by the way, because most podcasts, period, people just will bail after like 10 minutes. Yeah.
Oh no, man! It keeps me. I literally, I have 4 favorites. And then I have like number 5, 6, 7, and 8. Like they're on there. If I remember to download them, I do. But
We're in the top 10,
Yeah.
basically, is what you're telling us. We're in the top 10. That's a good place to be.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not bad.
All right, so tell us I know you recap of where you're going to be and how people can get in touch with you and your handles on social media.
JohnDiCrosta.com. I'm not the best with posting my schedule because I'm always working and I do it all from my laptop and I don't have that with me. But I'll be at McCurdy's Comedy Theater in Sarasota, Florida, March 9 through 13. Johnny D163 on Instagram. I post on there more than a 9-year-old girl. I'm not a TikToker, but I do the Snapchats and the Facebooks and the Twitters under John DiCrosta, DiCrosta. That's about it, man.
All great stuff, man.
Yeah, man, and just keep working, keep pushing, and you'll
hear his voice. You can also hear his voice on various animation. I'm sure some games. Did you do some?
Yeah, I've done many games. Jack and Daxter, Dead to Rights. I mean, Command and Conquer. I'm in the second Transformers movies as 7 Decepticons. I was on a show called Invader Zim on Nickelodeon.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've done my share. Chances are you've heard my voice. For a little short time, I was this guy. I did that for about 2.5 years. That was a nice little.
What's that? The
Pillsbury Doughboy.
Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. My dog, Harley, my late dog Harley, she was a Rottweiler, and when she would hear your voice, she would come running from the other room and jump at my screen.
Oh, that's funny.
And the Chuck Wagon. Remember the Chuck Wagon?
Sure. Sure.
The Puppy Chow, whatever it was called.
It was Alpo. I think it was Alpo.
Was it?
Oh no, it was Gravy Train.
Gravy Train, because she would jump at the screen and you could see her smudge marks on my screen.
That's funny.
But as soon as the music started for that commercial, she knew she was up. She came charging, so she had a thing for you.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, we wish you all the best.
Thank
follow
you, guys.
John, and thank you for coming on. And I'm sorry about the technical issues we had, but we'll salvage it. And to be honest with you, having Alan 1/3 of it is not a bad thing. All right, John, all the best.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for the invite. We'll see you.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to review us and rate us. It really helps.
The Talking Dicks became friends at a very young age, and the rest is history.
I'm losing my mind.
Patreon.com/The2Dicks, which is named after our web series. This is the Talking Dicks Comedy Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
What?
Done.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
We'll fix it in post, you son of a bitch.
Okay, sure.
All right. Subscribe. Mary.
Go to patreon.com/forward2dicks.
If you shoot me, you won't see a cent of that money. Why?
I think it ends on that. That's beautiful.